You are listening to PastThink.com audiobook. Please like and subscribe, thank you. Chapter 19. Cao Cao gathers the army at Xiaopi. Lu Bu is killed in battle. To defend Xiaopei, Xuanda, Zhang Fei and Guan Yu have set up camps beyond the city to protect the approach to the city itself. In a pincer movement, Gao Shun attacks Guan Yu's camp, while Lu Bu, intent on personal revenge, attacks Zhang Fei's camp. Both camps are overrun, and Xuanda's own men are crushed as the pincer movement rolls forward. Desperate, Xuanda tries to flee back to the safety of the city. But so close behind him comes Lu Bu that the soldiers on the city walls cannot protect Xuanda, and even as the drawbridge comes down to let him in, Xuanda swerves away, and instead it is Lu Bu and his men who swarm across the bridge and capture the city. And still inside the city is Xuanda's family. As the triumphant Lu Bu comes to Xuanda's house, Mizhu warns him, "A truly gallant man doesn't harm a man's family. Now there's only one person under heaven with whom you've to struggle, Cao Cao. Xuanda will always recall how he was protected by your actions at the gate. He'll never forget this. He had no option but to follow Cao Cao, so we must remember this." Lu Bu replies, "We are committed to each other, so how could I even think of harming his family?" So saying, he sends Xuanda's family to safety in Xuzhou. Xuanda is now effectively a refugee seeking to make his way to Cao Cao to try to continue the alliance. Yet, desperate as he is, whenever he enters a village, the local people are virtually competing with each other to find provisions for him. Such devotion sadly leads to a terrible incident. Xuanda and his companion Sun Qian seek shelter in a hunter's home. The hunter is called Luan, and he immediately offers to go and hunt for fresh meat for them to eat. To his distress, he cannot find any game. Desperate to keep his word, he kills his wife and serves up flesh from her body. When Xuanda asks what meat they are eating, Luan replies, "Wolf." It is only as they depart the next day that the two companions see the dead body of a young woman in the kitchen. The flesh from her arms has been cut away. This extraordinary action draws tears from Xuanda when he realizes to what lengths Luan has gone to keep his promise. Xuanda joins up with Cao Cao. Soon they are on the warpath again, heading for Lu Bu. Back in Xuzhou, Lu Bu is kept informed of developments against him, and he places much of his trust in Qindeng. This is a great mistake, as will be revealed. On Qindeng's recommendation, Lu Bu moves his reserves and his own family to Xiaopi as a safe haven should Xuzhou fall. But Qindeng has realized that Lu Bu's cause is doomed, and has already decided to betray him. Through secret messages, Qindeng keeps Cao Cao informed of Lu Bu's intentions. This enables Cao Cao's men to thwart all attempts by Lu Bu to gain the upper hand in the skirmishes and battles that follow. Through such treachery Xuzhou falls. It is Qindeng's plotting which leads to Xiaopei falling into Cao Cao's hands. Qindeng persuades the bulk of Lu Bu's commanders that Lu Bu has sent urgent messages asking them to ride to his assistance. When they leave, Qindeng opens the gates to Cao Cao's cousin Cao Ren. When Lu Bu retreats to what he thinks is the safety of Xiaopei, having been defeated by Cao Cao's men, he finds the city in enemy hands. With nowhere else to go, and with Zhang Fei closing in on him, Lu Bu has no option but to escape to his fallback city of Xiaopi. Trapped there and besieged, Lu Bu wants to strike out from the city to attack his enemies. But he is persuaded by the fearful tears of his wife and concubine not to leave them. Distraught and depressed, he sinks into alcoholism. It is in these circumstances that his advisors Su Si and Wang Kai revive the idea of an alliance with Yuan Shu through the marriage of Lu Bu's daughter to Yuan Shu's son. With great bravery, Su Si and Wang Kai make their way through enemy lines to Yuan Shu. Despite his initial anger, remember Lu Bu had executed Yuan Shu's envoy. When had come to discuss the marriage previously, he agrees. But on the way back one of the envoys of Lu Bu is captured by Zhang Fei, and the plans are revealed to Cao Cao. The stranglehold of the siege is increased to prevent Lu Bu and his daughter escaping to Yuan Shu. So desperate is Lu Bu that he decides to make a break for it, even though the odds are seriously stacked against him. An auspicious date is chosen, and at dead of night he prepares to break out. His young daughter is wrapped in protective cotton, and then a suit of armor. She mounts behind her father on his famous steed Red Hare, and they attempt to get out of the city and break through the besieging troops. Under cover of darkness they slip out of a small gate, but, as they approach the outskirts of Xuanda's camp, their flight is discovered. The three brothers-in-arms rush to attack, pushing back Lu Bu's armed escort. No one is braver than Lu Bu, but he will not put his daughter's life at risk. Instead, he is forced to retreat back into Xiapi with his daughter. This failure drives Lu Bu deeper into drink and despair. The siege is getting nowhere, and Cao Cao is ready to give up, when his advisors Sun Yu and Guojia come up with a plan. They divert the rivers E and C and flood the city. Inside the city, discontent with Lu Bu is mounting among his own men. From drunkenness he has swung to abstinence and banned all alcohol. When one of his greatest generals breaks this to celebrate a small victory, Lu Bu condemns him to death, and is only just persuaded to mitigate this to 50 lashes. This greatly disturbs the other generals. Plots begin to take shape and one of them results in Red Hare, Lu Bu's amazing horse, being stolen and delivered to Cao Cao. The next day, a massive assault on the city takes place, and during this long attack Lu Bu, exhausted, falls asleep in one of the towers. Two of his men decide to take things into their own hands. Song Xian seizes the opportunity to steal away Lu Bu's famous halberd and, with Wei Su he binds Lu Bu, who suddenly wakes to find himself a prisoner of his own men. Wei Su then shouts down to Cao Cao that Lu Bu is now their prisoner and opens the city gates. The city is swiftly seized by Cao Cao's men. Qin Gong, a former ally of Cao Cao, is also captured. Once order has been restored, Cao Cao, with Xuanda, sits to judge the prisoners. When Qin Gong is brought in, Cao Cao asks how he has been since they last met, to which Qin Gong responds bitterly, "You're a man of deceit, this is why I abandoned you." Cao Cao retorts angrily, "So is that why you left me to go serve Lu Bu?" "He may have been a fool," snaps Qin Gong, "but he's not like you, full of deceit." "Well," replies Cao Cao, "you may be clever, but that doesn't help you much today, does it?" Qin Gong shouts back that he expects nothing but death, and when Cao Cao asks what should become of Qin Gong's family, his wife and mother and children, Qin Gong replies, "It is said that those who rule by the laws of filial piety will never harm another man's family. One who is benevolent will never curtail the sacrifices appropriate to a man's tomb. My family are at your mercy. I just ask for a swift death." Cao Cao gives instructions that Qin Gong's family are to be taken to the capital and cared for all their lives. There is hardly a dry eye in the hall when Qin Gong bows his head and is executed. As a poet has written, "To him, life and death were undivided. What a charismatic figure he cut. Alas, his lord didn't value his words. A man like that can't understand such qualities." Despite it, he was constant in his support. Our hearts are moved by his parting words to his family. At the White Gate he gave his life like this. Tell me, who is not in awe of Qin Gong? Then Lu Bu is brought in. Cao Cao sentences him to death by strangulation. In desperation Lu Bu appeals to Xuanda, "Have you forgotten that I saved your life with the shot of one arrow?" At this, one of his men, Zhang Liao, shouts, "Die like a hero, Lu Bu. What are you afraid of?" And so it is that the sentence is carried out, and Lu Bu is no more. As a poet has said, "As the waters flood his city, Lu Bu's own men restrain him. No longer can his 1,000-mile horse or his slashing halberd save him. Once cowed, even a tiger yowls for mercy. But you'd never give a hunting falcon all it asks for." Stupidly, he allows Qin Gong's warning to be ignored, preferring his women's gossip. So no point in him now. Blaming the example of Xuanda. When Zhang Liao is brought before Cao Cao, Cao Cao recognizes him. Zhang Liao says that they met in battle at Puyang, and that he regrets now that he did not kill him then. Furious at these words, Cao Cao raises his sword to kill Zhang Liao, but he is restrained by someone seizing his arm, while another kneels before him, pleading for Zhang Liao's life. It is true to say that Lu Bu's request for mercy failed. Zhang Liao's defiance saved his life. So who is it who saves him? Let us find out.